We begin now at the top of Daf Chaf Dalid Amud Aleph in Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 24a. The Gemara says, Tanya Kivase de Rav Chisda. We have a brisa like Rav Chisda. The brisa says as follows. We'll take a look at Tosas after to see how this is like Rav Chisda. But the brisa says, Kol elu she'amru ein madlikin behen b'Shabbos. All the various oils which a person is not allowed to use on Shabbos, madlikin behen b'Yom Tov. You can use them on Yom Tov. Chutz mi shemen sreifa, except for shemen sreifa. Shemen sreifa again is truma tamei, a shemen of truma tamei that's meant to be burned. Lefisha ein sarf and kachim b'Yom Tov. The reason why you can't use shemen sreifa on Yom Tov is because you're not allowed to burn kachim on Yom Tov. So Tosas over here says, V'yim tomar v'hamashma chutz mi shemen sreifa de'ein madlikin v'Shabbos v'lo b'Yom Tov. When you read this brisa, it implies that you're not allowed to use shemen sreifa on Shabbos or Yom Tov. V'haynu deloka Rav Chisda. That doesn't follow Rav Chisda. Diladidei madlikin v'Shabbos. Rav Chisda's whole point was that shemen sreifa is allowed on Shabbos. It's only not allowed on Yom Tov. V'yesh lomar. So Tosas answers, Dahachi kamar. Here's what it means. Kol elu she'amru ein madlikin v'Shabbos madlikin b'Yom Tov. V'kol shekein oso shemadlikin b'Shabbos madlikin b'Yom Tov. You're supposed to put in the words that certainly anything that you do light on Shabbos, you can light on Yom Tov. Chutz mi shemen sreifa, except for shemen sreifa, she'afa pi shemadlikin v'Shabbos, even though you can light shemen sreifa on Shabbos, of course you can't light it initially, but even though you can use for light shemen sreifa on Shabbos, ein madlikin b'Yom Tov v'chuli. You're not allowed to use it on Yom Tov. So that's how Tosas reinterprets the brisa. In any case, the point is that Rav Chisda said you're allowed to use shemen sreifa on Shabbos, but you cannot use it on Yom Tov because you're not allowed to be soreif kachim on Yom Tov. The Gemara now continues at the two dots. Iboilu, they ask the following question: Ma'ula hazkir shel Chanukah b'birchas hamazon. What's the halacha regarding mentioning Chanukah in birchas hamazon? In other words, do we say the Ala Nisim Tefillah in the middle of birchas hamazon? Kevon de midrabanan hu lo midachrinan. So since Chanukah is only midrabanan, it's not a midoraisa, therefore maybe we shouldn't mention it, or we don't have to mention it. Or maybe, since there's an Indian of Pirsumei Nisa, we should mention it in benching as well. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Sechora, Amar Rav Huna. So Rava says in the name of Rav Sechora, in the name of Rav Huna, Eino Mazkir, you do not mention it. V'imbala Hazkir Mazkir, but if he wants to mention it, he can mention it in Hoda'ah. Rashi says, what does it mean here? Eino Mazkir, Eino Tzorech Laskir. It doesn't need to be mentioned, but if you want, you can mention it in Hodah. Rav Huna bar Yehuda ikla levei Rava. So Rav Huna bar Yehuda went to the house of Rava. Savar la'ad kurei bebona Yerushalayim. He thought to mention it in Bona Yerushalayim. Amar lu Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes said, Kitfila. It follows the same prescription as Tfila. Ma Tfila b'Hodah. Just like Tfila, we mention it in the Brach of Modim in Hodah. Af birchas hamazon b'Hodah. So too, when it comes to birchas hamazon, we mention it in Nodelacha in the Bracha of Hodah, the Bracha of thanks. The Gemara now continues at the two dots. Ibailu, they ask the following question: Ma'ul hazkir Rosh Chodesh b'birchas hamazon. Do we mention Rosh Chodesh Yalav Yavo on Rosh Chodesh in birchas hamazon? Imtim tzolomar b'Chanukah d'Rabbanan lo tzarech Rosh Chodesh d'oraisa tzarech. You could say that on Chanukah, even if you said that on Chanukah, which is d'Rabbanan, you don't. Rosh Chodesh we know is a d'oraisa, so maybe you do. Odilmor, maybe Kavan de lo aser ba'asiyas malacha, since Rosh Chodesh, like Chanukah, is not aser in doing malacha, lo mazkarinan, we do not mention it in benching. So Rav Amar Maskir, Rav says it is mentioned in benching. Rav Chanina Amar Eino Maskir, Rav Chanina says it is not mentioned in benching. Amar Rav Zreika Nakat Rav Biyadcha. You should, so Rav Zreika says you should follow the opinion of Rav that it is mentioned. Dekoi Rav Oshia Kivase, because Rav Oshia follows this opinion. The Tani Rav Oshia, because Rav Oshia taught in a brisa Yomim Sheyeshba and Korban Musaf, on days where there's a Korban Musaf, Kegon, Rosh Chodesh v'Chol Shel Moed, like Rosh Chodesh and Chol Moed both have a Korban Musaf. Arvis v'Shacharis u'Mincha mispalo Shmona Esrei v'Yomer me'ein ha'me'ora b'avoda. So in Ma'ariv, Shacharis, and Mincha, you should daven Shmona Esrei, and you can say in the avoda, meaning in the bracha of Ritzei, you can say the Indian of whatever. If it's Rosh Chodesh, you say Yalav Yava for Rosh Chodesh. If it's Chol Hamoed, you say Yalav Yava for whatever Yontiv it is. V'yim lo amar machzirno. So if he doesn't say it in this place, then he has to go back. He has to say Shmona Esrei again. The Ein Ben Kiddush Alakos, these days, Rosh Chodesh and Chol Hamoed, you do not make a Kiddush on a cup of wine. V'yesh Bohen Hazkara b'Birchas Hamazon. You do mention these days in Birchas Hamazon. So there is the, that's the proof right there. It says Beferish over here, that on Rosh Chodesh and Chol Hamoed also, you do mention, in Birchas Hamazon, you mention the day. The Brisa continues, Yomim she'ein bohen Korban Musaf, on days where there is no Korban Musaf, Kagon, Sheni v'chamishi v'sheni v'tanios u'ma'amados, like Mondays, Thursdays, and Mondays, and fast days and ma'amados. So the Gemara asks, what is this? Sheni v'chamishi ma'avidataya. What are you talking about, Sheni v'chamishi? What's special about Mondays and Thursdays that you would even think to mention anything? Elo Sheni v'hezu beis shel tanios u'ma'amados. What it means is the bahab of fast days and also the ma'amados. So in those days, we'll see ma'amados in a moment in Rashi, but on these kinds of fasts, Arvis v'shachar sumincha mispal shmona esrei v'omer mi'ein ha'ma'ora b'shomei tefillah. On those days when you're fasting, you say the nature of the day, you say that over in the prayer of Shomei Tefillah. And if he doesn't say it, he doesn't have to go back. There's no kiddush over a cup of wine. There's no hazkara in birchas hamazon. So Rashi says, what does this mean, shel tanios? What is the bahab, the Monday, Thursday, Monday of fast days? Shall you goes from tanios al hagashamim sheni v'chamishi v'sheni Meseches tainas. They used to fast Mondays, Thursdays, and Mondays when there was no rain. They used to fast in order to daven for rain. V'shel ma'amados. Now the ma'amados is referring to the fact that they always had a rotation of Yisraelim who essentially stood in for the rest of Klal Yisrael to be the official tzibor for the karbanos of the tzibor. So on these ma'amados, kolomar liyamim shel ma'amados shahayu misanin arba tanios b'Shabbos. They used to fast 4 days of the week on that. Whenever it was this group's rotation, whenever it was your rotation, you fasted 4 days of the week. Sheni u'shlishi revi'ah v'chamishi. You fasted Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Ume'ein ha'ma'or detu tfilas tainas. What does it mean, me'ein ha'ma'or? It means the tefillah that you say for a fast day. Those things should be said, as the Brisa of Rav Oshia said. Those things should be said in Shomei Tefillah. Gemara now continues at the two dots. Iboilu, they ask a question, similar question to before. Ma'u lahazkir shel Chanukah b'musafin. Is Chanukah mentioned in the prayer of Musaf, let's say on Rosh Chodesh of Chanukah? Kaven the less be Musaf b'didei lomed karinan. So on the one hand, you could say since Chanukah itself has no korban Musaf, you don't mention it. Or you could say on the other hand, it is a day for 4 tefillos. It's a day where there are 4 davenings, and every tefillah you should mention Chanukah, even in the tefillah of Musaf. Rav Huna v'Rav Yehuda da'amrin tarvayo eno maskir. So Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda both say it's not mentioned. Rav Nachman v'Rav Yochanan da'amrin tarvayo maskir. Rav Nachman and Rav Yochanan say that you do mention it. Amar Abai l'Rav Yosef. Abai said to Rav Yosef, ha, the Rav Huna v'Rav Yehuda deravhu. The opinion of Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda who said it's not mentioned, that actually is the opinion of Rav. The Amar Rav Gidel Amar Rav, because Rav Gidel said in the name of Rav, Rosh Chodesh shechol liyos b'Shabbos. On Rosh Chodesh, if Rosh Chodesh falls out on Shabbos, Hamaftir b'Navi b'Shabbos, the person who's doing the Haftorah of the Navi on Shabbos, Eino tzarech lahazkir shel Rosh Chodesh. He does not need to mention Rosh Chodesh. She'el mole Shabbos, ein Navi b'Rosh Chodesh. Because without Shabbos, there is no Haftorah on Rosh Chodesh, so it's the same idea. Basically, since Rosh Chodesh doesn't cause a Haftorah, it doesn't get mentioned in the Haftorah. So too, when you have Chanukah doesn't cause a Musaf, so it doesn't get mentioned in the Musaf. So the Gemara said, Mi dummy, is it really comparable? Hasam Navi bid Rosh Chodesh like a cloud. When it comes to laning Haftorah in Rosh Chodesh, it doesn't exist at all. Hacha Isei b'Arvis v'Shachar Mincha. Here, there is a mentioning of Chanukah in Ma'ariv, Shachar, and Mincha. Rather, if you're going to compare it to anything, compare it to the following case. The Amar Rav Achtavoy, Amar Rav Masna, Amar Rav. This again is a quote in the name of Rav. Ultimately, Yom Tov shechol liyos b'Shabbos hamaftir b'Navi b'Mincha b'Shabbos. So they used to have Haftorah even at Mincha of Shabbos. So if it's Yom Tov falls on Shabbos, so then Ein Sarach Lasker Shel Yom Tov, you don't need to mention Yom Tov Shel Mole Shabbos Ein Navi b'Mincha b'Yom Tov. Because if not for Shabbos, there would be no Navi in Mincha and Yom Tov. And Rashi explains over here, Ein Navi b'Mincha b'Yom Tov ve'af al gav d'isei Shacharis. Even though there is such a thing in general as Yom Tov causing Haftorah by Shacharis. Ho'elu Mincha lav mishum Yom Tov. Since Mincha doesn't have it because of Yom Tov, Yom Tov asi lo maskrim, we don't mention it. So that's already comparable, because over here we're comparing Mincha and Yom Tov, where there is an inyan of Haftorah on Yom Tov, but just not at Mincha. So we're comparing that to Chanukah, mentioning Chanukah in the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, where there's an inyan of mentioning Chanukah that day, but just not particularly the idea of Musaf when it comes to Chanukah. That concludes Daf Chav Daled Amud Aleph. We'll continue in the next video, Daf Chav Daled Amud Beis.